Hi everyone, welcome to Letterbomb. I am Luce from Things Lucy Reads and I will be one of your hosts for this channel. Okay, so you'll be seeing me a lot probably, so there's probably a few things that you should know before we start. I am 22 years old as of this week. I live in Australia. I am a cisgender woman and I identify as a lesbian. Okay, so this is just a general introduction. I'm here to talk about my 3 favourite queer books. I won't go into too much detail about them because I've done that before on my channel. In case you want to find out more about them, the videos that you want for the first one are my LGBTQI recommendations 1 video, which I will link down below because it's already uploaded. And then the other 2 videos you will want are my May wrap up and part 3 of my June wrap up. When those are released, I might link them down below as well. I just don't know which of these videos is going to go up first. So yeah, they're books that I've talked about a lot before, either on YouTube or on Twitter, so they're probably not going to be completely unknown to you if you're at all familiar with me. So yeah. Okay, so the first book I want to mention is The Flywheel by Erin Goff, and this is one of my favorites because it's a young adult lesbian novel set in Sydney, so in Australia, and it just resonated with me so much more than the other lesbian novels I've read because they are all set in America and this one is set in the country where I live, and so I understood all of the pop culture references. I understood all of the turns of phrase that they said, just the way in general that they spoke was very, very familiar to me, and so this book just really hit me in the chest and has stayed there ever since. And it's really, really important because it's the first book that I could relate to 100% in terms of identity of the protagonist, and just the Australian experience, I guess you could call it. People who live in America will probably not understand how intense it is to read a book about someone like you set in the country where you live, where you've never read that before. The only other Australian YA queer book that I've read is Always Mackenzie by Kate Constable, but that's not really very long and the lesbian thing only happens right at the very end, whereas this is there right from the start, and I just loved it. And I really loved how supportive Del's dad was. He didn't have much page time, but he was just one of the best dads I've ever read in YA fiction, and I was so glad that even though he wasn't actually in a lot of the book, he was supportive of her and her sexuality 100%, and it was just really, really beautiful. And the next books I want to talk about are Captive Prince and Prince's Gambit, both by C.S. Pacat. These are the first and second books in the Captive Prince series. This series is really, really great. It's a fantasy slash romance, although only the second one can really be called romance. There's not much romance happening in the first one. The society in these books is what you would call homonormative. Thank you to my friend Jess for first using that word to describe this series. I couldn't think of how to describe it before she used it, and then she said homonormative, and I was like, yes, exactly. Sexuality is a non-issue. Some people prefer men, some people prefer women, some people like both. It doesn't matter. No one gives a shit. You sleep with who you sleep with, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And I think it's beautiful. And both of the protagonists are completely 100% at home with their sexuality. There was no questioning it. There was no, what am I going to do? I'm attracted to a man. There was none of that. It was completely normal. Laurent is a prince and he's gay, and it's absolutely fine. And it's amazing. This book will not be for everyone. There is a list of trigger warnings on the author's blog, which I will link down below. I've talked about that a little bit more in my May wrap up, but yeah. I really do think though that even if this book is not quite your thing, you should definitely read on, because all of the bad stuff that happens in this is not present at all in this one, and this one is even better, and it's much more about the characters rather than the fucked up society. And just these books in general are really amazing, and I want to call them revolutionary because I've never ever read anything like this that wasn't a Lord of the Rings fanfiction. And they're just perfect, and I will love them forever, and I really can't wait until the next book comes out because it's going to break my heart and it's going to be amazing. So yeah, these are my 3 favourite queer books. I have many, many more. I could spend 25 minutes talking about all the queer books I love, but if I was going to recommend books to people, I would probably recommend these 3 first, because yeah, and also both of the authors are Australian, so represent. That is all for me for this video. You will be seeing my face quite a lot more on this channel, and I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. And I'll catch you next time. Bye everyone.